All right, everybody. I was getting carried away and the clock was ticking. I'm like, okay, so what time is it? Oh, 5:04. Okay, I'm here. Hey, everybody. Nice to see you. I want to get right into the questions. If you scroll up through the chat, you may be aware that I posted a little agenda. I have some things I want to talk about today, and I encourage you to get your questions up and running. But today we are going to talk about a bunch of different guitar books that I recommend, things that I have used myself in teaching, that I continue to use. I want to talk about the circle of fifths, and I want to talk about my experience with the Fender Custom Shop, what it means to order a guitar and then wait for the Fender Custom Shop to produce the guitar. So I want to talk about all those things with you. Okay, let's get right down to the questions. And I see a question early on, and it has 2 question marks in advance of the questions. That's how I know it's a question. Harmonica and Guitar Progress says, who designed music? Who designed it to be complicated and simple at the same time? Who designed music? Yeah, I don't know. It's a short answer, but it does make you wonder to what extent the music that we like and our attraction to music, our desire to produce music is a biological thing, right? Birds sing, we sing, making music. And this is way above my pay grade. But clearly there's something about the human experience that involves making music and enjoying music. Who knows? Where does it come from? So I'm going to leave it there. I'll leave it up to the philosophers and the scientists. But what I will say is this whole idea of deciding what music is, what good music is. I will get back to this subject more specifically when I talk about the circle of fifths. Okay, so don't go anywhere. All right. Hey, and welcome back, everybody, to our 5th live stream number 5. Don't forget, everything that we're doing today is being recorded, including the texts, and so you can come back and watch this in the future if you have to leave us today. All right, more questions. Danielle, you mentioned a book, the Mel Bay Plectrum Guitar series, and wondering if a teacher's still using it. Yeah, I don't know. Mel Bay has been around for a long time. I don't think they are the #1 publisher anymore. If they ever were, I don't think they are anymore. But they sure produce a ton of books and have done so for decades and decades and decades. Mel Bay. If I'm ever in the St. Louis, Missouri neighborhood, I would love to visit Mel Bay headquarters because I'm pretty sure that's where Mel Bay. Anybody out there from St. Louis that can confirm this? I think when I see a Mel Bay book, it says something about St. Louis in there. So I would love to visit Mel Bay. Okay, so let's keep the questions coming in. A to Z me says, circle of fifths, my ears are interested. Excellent. Scott, hey Scott, welcome back. Poober John is taking an educated guess that where music came from. A caveman. It could have been a caveman, right? It had to start somewhere. Russ says, hi, mate. Hey, Russ, you are tuning in from Australia, I believe, right, Russ? Excellent. So, everybody, while you are getting your questions in order, I'm going to run you through a handful of guitar books. Maybe I'll do a handful of guitar books right now. And then every I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, I'll run through another bunch of books. So what I'm grabbing now, I'm going to put down my guitar. And I'm going to grab a handful of books that I have used for years and years and years as a guitar teacher. And in some cases, these books have, the whole book is great, and I've used every page of the book. But in a lot of cases, I've used portions of the book. But I've used those portions for decades, and I just really like how they present information. So why not start with the very first guitar book I ever purchased? This is not my original copy. I don't know what happened to my original copy, but this is still a great book. Arlen Roth. He doesn't look like this anymore, okay? But Arlen Roth's Complete Acoustic Guitar. This is fine even if you start with electric guitar. Anyways, very cool book. And I bought it. It was probably about $10 when I got it. Even though my first guitar was electric, I thought it made sense to start with a book written for acoustic guitar, which is actually not a crazy idea because the information is applicable no matter what. Ton of good stuff in here. Lots of good stuff. I assume this is still in print. Lots of good stuff. I will say there's so much good stuff that's categorized in so many different categories. you've got quite a bit to choose from. Anyways, I love this book. Okay. Another book that I've used quite a bit. Let's talk about this right here. Scales and Modes from the Alfred Publishing Company. There's lots of scale books out there. I've never seen a bad scale book, but I just like how this presents the information. Looks like a sweet Paul Reed Smith guitar there on the cover, if I had to guess. I happen to like this book, written by Steve Hall and Ron Manus, Scales and Modes from the Basics series. I'm such a book geek that I have to mention this is the Alfred Publishing Company Basics series, Scales and Mode. Assuming this is still in print, I bet it doesn't come with a CD. I bet it comes with an access code where you type in the code and you get access to the stuff, I assume. What I like about this particular book is when they talk about a certain scale, and I'm going to just randomly choose to turn to the harmonic minor scale page. It also gives you examples of licks and riffs that use that particular scale in the style of, different famous guitar players, Yngwie Malmsteen or Randy Rhoads. And then a cool picture. Who do we got there? We got Randy Rhoads there playing some sweet Stratocaster. Okay, so just another book I decided to show you guys today. Something I use for my own teaching, and also I learn myself. Don't get me wrong, I'm learning from these books as well. But those are two examples of books I use in my teaching quite a bit. Okay, I am looking for more questions. North Country Fisher, welcome back. Music Fan says she loves the shirt. Oh, Music Fan. Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. That's where my son is going to go to school come September. Okay, Stephen says, I've been working on G, C, D, and E minor major chords. Okay, what chords would you recommend next? Excellent question. Don't go anywhere, everybody. I'm going to grab, instead of going by memory, I'm going to grab my book that is red and white. Okay. In this book, I have the 16 common chords. Okay, here's your chance to take a screenshot or when you watch this video in the future. There you go. There's your 16 chords. Whatever ones you don't know on this list, these are the ones. There's even a typo. See that B minor right there? I reversed the fourth finger and third finger. Don't do what this says. I reversed the fourth and third fingers, and you should reverse them back again. Anyways, there's your 16 chords. You can't go anywhere without these chords, okay? These chords include A major, A minor, A7, B7 and B minor, C major and C7, D major, D minor, D7, E major, E minor, E7, F major, G and G7. Is that all of them? I think so. Anyways, whatever you don't have on this list. Now, I have a video. I know everyone struggles with the F chord. I have a video. I think it's called What the F? And it's a whole video about ways to play the F chord, because what I presented here is not the only way to play an F chord. So if you are so inclined, what the F, a bunch of different ways. And even if you're perfectly good at this F chord right here, there's other ways of doing it, other valuable ways of doing it. Okay, so there's your answer. This is one of the books that's on sale right now. It's available as an e-book. It won't feel like this unless you print it out. It comes to you in an email link, and you download the book, and then you print it out if you want to. Anyways, an ebook, The Guitar Year One, lots of good stuff. It's on sale now. Go to my website, www.song-bike.com, and the coupon code is Livestream15, Livestream15. Okay, thank you for bearing with my sales pitch there. Okay, questions. Let's have some more questions. Otherwise, I will keep on talking. Booba John says, how do you get the rhythm of a song correctly? Yeah, good question. Getting the rhythm right, it largely relies on your ears, right? It largely does, because if you hear what's going on, if you really hear what's going on, your ears guide you to getting the rhythm right. a huge part of your progress, of my progress as a musician, is your ears, is your ability to hear what the goal is, to hear what you're doing. I know it sounds a little, intense, because of course you can hear what's going on, but as you improve as a musician, your ears are improving. And the flip side of that is, as your ears improve, you will improve as a musician. So, but getting the rhythm right, I have a couple of suggestions. Aside from simply listening and imitating, nothing wrong with that. That's probably the number one thing. Being able to read music, because you can open up a book or access the information however you access it. And if the music is written out for you with the correct rhythms written out, then you just do whatever it says, but that assumes that you know how to read music. Another strategy is, let's talk about strumming patterns in specifically. Pooba John, you didn't specify strumming patterns, but I'm gonna guess that's what you're talking about, because strumming pattern, most of us are somehow strumming or finger picking a tune, and you want to get the rhythm right. The more strumming patterns you've learned, however you've learned them, by hook or by crook, however you've learned those strumming patterns, the more likely you are to recognize them or variations of those strumming patterns when you go to play some new tune. You'll say, oh, wait, the guy's doing the boom, chick, boom, chick, or the guy's going down, down, up, down, 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 up, down. And then, you obviously, you know what to do for that song because your ear recognizes it. You've already learned how to do it with another song. Or it might be a slight variation, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. You think, oh, wait, that's almost the same as down, down, up, down, and then you make a little adjustment, and that's another strategy. Basically, the smarter you are, the better you do. The more you know, the more likely you are to make educated guesses and get the rhythm right. So listening better than ever, learning how to read music, which is, I know it's not easily done overnight, and just being familiar with more common rhythms and rhythmic patterns and being able to recognize them. That's ballpark. Hey, Bill R., thanks for the super chat. I appreciate that. I really do. Okay, I'm looking for some more questions. Bill R. Yes, Bill R. Darn it, I was hoping you'd forget about that. Bill R. says, well, last week you said you'd be doing a 10 ways to play Stand By Me, and were you able to complete it? I'm so close. I have the PDF with everything all written out. I have the raw video, meaning I filmed myself playing it 10 ways. And so now I have to film a cute little introduction, where I'm always like, hey, everybody, welcome back. And then I have to film a quick little outro, which I do immediately after the intro. So everybody, thanks for watching. And that's it. And then I have to just make it smooth and nice to upload to YouTube. So I'd hope to have it done in time that you guys could have watched it already and we could talk about it today. My son just graduated from high school. That's my excuse. He graduated yesterday, and there are multiple preparations that led up to that day. So that's my excuse. But the video is basically done, and it's killing me that it's not out in time for us to talk about today. But I think there's no reason why it won't come out sometime this week. Nobody's graduating in my family. So, but thanks for asking. And I do hope to get it out as soon as possible. So North Country Fisher asks, rhythm or lead, which do you prefer or consider more important? Rhythm guitar. Rhythm guitar is the only kind of guitar. Rhythm guitar. And I'll tell you why, and then I'll give you some quick examples, because a few of you out there might say, I've heard of rhythm guitar, I've heard of lead guitar, what's different? And there are, they are different, but they also overlap sometimes, and then that muddies the waters. So rhythm guitar is more important. It's I'm laughing because, rhythm guitar, lead guitar implies you can play some fast, flashy stuff. And I never could. So therefore, I'm a rhythm guitar player. I've come a long way, but rhythm guitar is more important for a variety of reasons. So rhythm guitar is the glue that holds a song together. Rhythm guitar is the song. You can take away the lead guitar and still have a song. You take away the rhythm guitar, you got nothing. Unless what? Unless, in effect, the rhythm guitar part is being done by Elton John, Billy Joel. What do those guys have in common there? The piano player. The piano player is doing it instead. If you have the piano player essentially being the glue that holds the song together, then you don't need rhythm guitar. Someone's got to do it, and typically it's either guitar or piano, essentially playing chords or parts of chords or things that suggest chords. And guitar and piano are the two most popular instruments to do it. Sadly, the accordion isn't around as much anymore, but you can do the same thing with an accordion. So rhythm guitar is more important. It's more important for lots of reasons. You don't have a song unless someone's playing the rhythm part of the song, whether it's guitar, piano, you don't have a song yet. There's nothing for the drummer to do, right? As soon as someone starts playing the rhythm guitar part, and I'll give you some examples in a second. As soon as someone starts playing the rhythm guitar part, okay, now the drummer can join in. Now the bass people, the song starts, the party can begin. And you don't have that until someone begins doing that. Another word, by the way, for rhythm guitar, another phrase is the accompaniment, right? Unless someone's doing the accompaniment, what's the singer going to sing to? Nothing, unless it's Acapulco singing, a cappella. So another reason why rhythm guitar is super valuable is even if you aspire to be the lead guitar player and you want to play the fast, flashy stuff up and down the neck, even if that's your goal, great. You're going to be better at that job if you understand the rhythm guitar part of the song, if you understand how the song goes. Okay, so instead of talking so much, let's do some examples. Rhythm guitar could be everything from nice, big, strummy chords. That's rhythm guitar, right? I'm basically strumming most of the strings down, up, rhythm guitar, right? Rhythm guitar can still involve chords, but be more specific. I'm picking out individual strings. Still rhythm guitar. Don't be fooled by the just part of having fun with rhythm guitar. Now's a good time to tell you rhythm guitar is so fun because as you get better at it, there's so much stuff you can do. That kind of stuff, right? Rhythm guitar can also involve things that aren't specifically your traditional chords. That's rhythm guitar. Rhythm guitar technically could be bare finger picking, right? That nice, it's accompaniment, right? That's rhythm guitar. Rhythm guitar is power chords, right? Okay, so rhythm guitar is all that stuff. I think you get the idea. As long as someone knows the rhythm guitar part for a song, you have a song. You know, sometimes the rhythm guitar part is so recognizable as soon as you start. Everyone's like, "Oh, I know that song," right? Or sometimes the rhythm guitar part is not recognizable. It's just, it sounds swell, right? Sounds great, but like, what is it, right? Nevertheless, yeah, rhythm guitar is where it's at. Okay, and I could go on and on, but I will move on. But yeah, rhythm guitar. You'll never regret learning a variety of rhythm guitar patterns, a variety of songs. You'll never regret that. And then when you whether you move on to being a lead guitar player or you explore the world of lead guitar, you'll have such a great foundation in your head. For instance, you'll know the background chords. That's pretty valuable. If you're going to play a lead guitar solo, you better know what the background chords are so you can play notes that reflect and go along with those background chords, right? That's one of many reasons. Okay, great question. I appreciate these question marks before the questions. I appreciate that. Okay. Harmonic and guitar progress says, John, what's the story of that harmony guitar behind you? What is the story? I love this guitar. Here we go. Okay. The Harmony Guitar Company. Harmony Guitar Company, real quick, has been around for a lot of years. so just because a guitar has the Harmony name doesn't really tell you too much about it, because I believe you can find some very inexpensive electric guitars made overseas with a Harmony name. I think the name has been sort of, it's been around the block. But a million years ago, a friend of mine gave me this guitar, very generous of him. He had done a little bit of work on it. He had replaced the pickguard. Presumably there's something wrong with the existing pickguard. It's probably coming off or something. He built a new bridge and replaced the bridge, and a new saddle, of course. The saddle's that white part. So that's all new, or it was new, it was a replacement is a better way to put it. He gave it what's called a French polish. It still has a little bit of that shine, but it wasn't all glossy and sticky. Interestingly, he did not have to replace the tuning machines, and that's kind of amazing because these are open tuners. There's nothing keeping dust and grit and grime out of the tuners. So I don't know, they shouldn't have lasted this long. Tuning machines, to my understanding, are the one thing that typically is not covered by a lifetime warranty. When you buy a big fancy or any acoustic guitar, and your guitar may come with a lifetime warranty, it might, but I believe tuners are not covered because they are expected to need replacement at some point. That's how it used to be anyways. Somehow these are still hanging in there. So a Harmony Sovereign with a weird body shape. It's not a dreadnought because it's too round here. It's not a jumbo. A jumbo would typically taper in more and look more like a figure 8. I've never seen a guitar with this exact shape. It's a Harmony Sovereign. It's a beast. It really is a beast. You could probably use some new strings, but it's got a nice tone. How about, let's play Name That Tune. Give it that song, right? Yeah, it's a pretty guitar. Someone played it, quite a bit before I ever got it. But they were, looks like they were gentle enough with it. I can't recall if some of this wear and tear is due to me or due to them. Probably a little bit of both, a little bit of wear and tear. First responders responding. Here's one thing you can help me out with. I've never been clear on the year. So if anyone is a Harmony guitar expert, help me out with the year. Could it be 50s or 60s? Hard to imagine a guitar this big going back to the 50s. I'm gonna guess 60s or 70s, because I think the best way to date it would be the headstock and this symbolism, all this stuff up here, because the pickguard is replacement, the bridge is replacement, and you're going to ask me if there's a serial number, and there actually, I thought I saw one once. I don't see anything now. Okay. Anyways, thanks for asking. So it has both sentimental value and it's also just a cool old guitar, Okay. So my friends, I'm looking here. A to Z me has a question. Is there a simpler way to go from F to B quickly? Learning Blowing in the Wind is a quick change. R screw up. I'm happy to help you, A to Z me, but F to B, one of those has to change because that's not how you play Blowing in the Wind. So A to Z, just do a double check. Whatever chords you're using, maybe you might be playing in the original key or different key, but it's not F to B. So do a double. I'm happy to answer your question. It's a good question, but look back at your tab, your chords, whatever, and some chords just don't go well together, and so you're almost never going to play them in sequence. So, come on back and ask me that question again. Charlie Beagle asks a good question, which I will answer because it's a fair question, and and that's what I'm here for. He says, "Hey John, I've subscribed to your site for a couple of years now. Are you going to put any new content on there?" Yes. I've been using my website for PDFs, the PDFs that I've been writing to accompany the videos that I've been putting out there. So I put the PDFs up on the website. but I haven't been putting tons of new videos on the website. You're absolutely right about that. And it's on my list of things to do. In fact, I'm looking at my list right now that's behind my computer monitor. So here's the plan, Charlie, and you're asking a good question. And first of all, thank you for being a member of my website. And secondly, the plan moving forward is to turn the website into a collection of awesome videos that make you a better guitar player, and take the videos that are on the website, and which are mainly song videos, how to play, these 20 songs, 30 songs, and release them on YouTube as just regular YouTube, how to play songs videos. The idea is this. I already have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos on YouTube on how to play songs, and that's great. Here comes the next responder. Technically, that's the second responder. Okay. My music shop here is across the street from the ambulance barn and the fire station. And the police station is a stone's throw. So welcome to my world. I did 8 years with the fire department. Hey, shout out to all you volunteer firefighters out there. I did 8 years with the volunteer fire department and 4 years with the ambulance department. Back to our subject at hand. What I want to say is, here's my way of thinking about my website, and then we'll move on to the next question. It's one thing to learn songs. It's great. That's probably the number one reason you pick up a guitar. But I want you guys to be able to go to my website and find a whole bunch of information on how to improve your skills. Very, very specific, concrete, structured exercises, riffs, etc., that make you physically a better guitar player. So that when you go to learn the Tom Petty song, the Beatles song, you have these great skills, whether you're learning the Tom Petty song from one of my videos or from anyone's video. You got to have the skills. And the last thing I want to say about it is learning guitar song by song may not be a logical approach unless by some miracle you have the songs lined up in a very logical sequence. And I wouldn't even know how to do that exactly, especially accounting for taste. You might not like the songs in a certain sequence. Whereas I hope to make my website a place you can go for 10 minutes or an hour and work on a few things for 10 minutes or an hour or 2 hours that make your hands faster, smarter, more flexible, all that kind of stuff. And then what you do with that skill is up to you. So, Charlie, that's a long answer to your question. I will be not just putting on new content, but kind of revamping the whole website. To some extent, it's going to tie in, to a large extent, it's going to tie in with the books there, because the books help me get my thoughts in order. Week 1, month 1, year 1, and then maybe I'll do a book like, year 2 and beyond or something like that. I got the Strum Pattern Bible book. So that's where my head is at. Okay. Booba John asks, what's meant by having a bass line? Excellent question. A bass line. Anybody hear that rain? Get a nice little soaking rain here in Connecticut. Okay, I'll take it. I'm 99% sure I rolled my truck windows up. Okay, a bass line. Let's talk about it specifically, how it would relate to playing the guitar. Bass means low, right? Bass, B-A-S-S, means low. So to include low strings very specifically, like this, is a step in the right direction in terms of establishing a bass line. So a bass, this is sort of like that Friend of the Devil, Grateful Dead riff I was just playing. So if I do my job right, I'm really calling your attention to this descending bass line, but I'm putting in little filler strums so the music has a continuity to it. essentially, you could almost tell yourself you sound like two different musicians. So that's a bass line. That's one example of a bass line that I'm interspersing with essentially with little chord strums. So that's one idea of a bass line. That's the first one that comes to mind. I'm trying to think of another example. That might be all I got at the moment. But there's an example of it. In a perfect world, you'd be able to play some sort of bass line, during your rhythm guitar playing. In that case, I was playing chords because that contrast it sounds great, right? It sounds great. I'm still impressed, not with my own ability, but just, well, in the sense, like, I thought that was great before I could do it. And I still think it sounds great now. Like, wow, man, it sounds like two guitar players. It sounds like real guitar playing, right? Because I was that guy who could play C and I could play G, but I couldn't do that kind of thing. I thought, got to be a genius to do that kind of thing. So I'm going to leave it at that, because I don't have a better example off the top of my head. So, but doesn't mean one won't pop into my head randomly 4 minutes from now. Hey, Beginning Guitar, welcome. Beginning Guitar is our moderator. That's why he gets a blue name and a wrench. I wonder why they decided on that. That wrench is a symbol for moderator. I don't know. Okay, so I'm scrolling. Randy, you're bringing up a great question. Randy says, I want to be able to sing and play at the same time. It seems impossible. Yeah, he says, I guess you have to do one or the other without thinking. Absolutely, one of the top 3 questions I get, if not top 2, if not top number 1 question I get is, how long does it take to be good at the guitar? Which is a variation on top 2, which is, as a teacher, do I ever come across someone who just cannot ever learn? They just can't, Those are my sort of tied as the kind of versions of the same question. And number 3 is how, string playing and sing at the same time. So Randy, a couple quick strategies. I know I've covered this before in previous live streams, but I'm happy to talk about it again. A couple of strategies, realistic strategies to playing and sing at the same time. Hum the words without worrying about singing them. Just hum them. Don't even worry if the humming sounds good. Just engage, right? Engage. Because what we're really talking about is getting another part of your brain involved. So humming along while you play the guitar part. That's one strategy. Second strategy is keep the guitar part simple. I'll give you an example. Say you're learning to play Blackbird by the Beatles, Paul McCartney. Not a great choice for your first song to play and sing. It's a tricky song to play, period. I think it's tricky. I mean, I can do it, but it's a tricky tune, right? So that's not a good choice if you want to play and sing at the same time. What's a good choice? Something with like real, good old free fun. She's a good girl. Okay, or even better, is a song that's not syncopated the way Free Falling has a nice little syncopation. Bear with me, I'm trying to decide a good key for this. Okay, the teacher is back. So, Knock on Heaven's Door, 2 G's, 2 D's, 4 A minors, right? Keep it simple. 2 G's, 2 D's, just like before, but 4 C's this time. There you go. There's the whole song, Knock on Heaven's Door, right? Knock, knock, knocking heaven's door. Just speak the words. Don't worry about singing them or hum the words. Now, to me, that's how you start incorporating these 2 skills, okay? Singing and playing at the same time with a song that's straightforward, nothing tricky. The number one mistake that I see people do, and I'm glad it just popped into my head because I don't think I mentioned this before, or maybe I didn't make a big deal about it before. Number one mistake is you go to sing and play at the same time, and you strum exactly with the syllables of the words. Don't do it. Knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door. It sounds dumb, right? Knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door. Nope, nope. That's an honest mistake. One part of your brain is trying to do everything. Clearly, I'm not a neuroscientist, but you want to have one part of your brain being the guitar player, other part of your brain being Bob Dylan. Okay, knock, 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 and those are two separate skills. You get the idea. Okay, so especially with any song, but that's a great example. The guitar is on autopilot, keeping a steady beat. At least the way I'm teaching you right here. Boom, boom. Never slows down, never speeds up, because we're keeping it simple, right? We're keeping the strumming simple. And then humming the words, speaking the words. Yeah. Some of my piece of advice. Steven says, how do you know when it's time for a string change? Excellent question. I know there's some obvious things, like if your strings are rusty, if you compare the color of the strings, I know you can't see it too well here, but the color of the strings where you're constantly squeezing and getting your greasy fingers all over them, compare that color with the color up here where you typically aren't touching them, right? This could be shiny, golden, orange, brown, beautiful, and this could be this weird dull gray. Yeah, things have changed. So those are some obvious things. Rusty, crusty feeling strings that are clearly gray and not, they've lost everything. But here's a very scientific or more scientific way. If every time you go to tune your guitar, let's say you got your cute little snark up here, some version of a snark tuner up there. Every time you go to tune it, you find yourself loosening the strings. It's time. Strings tighten. They kind of, they tighten up as they get old. They get brittle and tighter. And so every time you go to tune it up, you find yourself loosening to get back to the standard pitch. Yep, definitely time for new guitar strings. Other good times to get guitar strings, get a little brush of fresh air. Yeah, it just feels good to have new strings on. It's just nice, and they sound so nice and twangy and like, ooh, Rich, your guitar sounds new again. And then you think to yourself, why did I wait so long? Well, okay, don't wait so long. Depending how much you play, depending on the exact pH chemistry of your oil on your fingertips, it can vary for a lot of people. A few times a year, you can't go wrong doing a few times a year. I mean, why not? My advice includes buy 2 sets of strings, because especially if you're not accustomed to changing strings, things are going to go wrong. Something's going to go wrong, and you're going to think, I just broke a string. Well, now you're stuck. Buy 2 sets. Light gauge for acoustic strings. That means 12 thousandths of an inch. Often those strings are called 12s. The set of strings are called 12s, or they're called light gauge. Light gauge. Just do it. Light gauge. Electric guitar, they typically don't use names like light, medium, heavy on electric guitar. 9 gauge, 9 thousandths of an inch. Okay, that's what I recommend. 9 thousandths of an inch. So the set of strings would be called 9s. Okay, so those are some of my thoughts, Stephen, about when it's time to change strings. If you have never changed strings before, I've got you covered. In that book I showed you, the Guitar Year One, the one with that red cover right there, the Guitar Year One. I have cute photos. I took a lot of time and took like these close-up. I would do the task with one hand and take the picture with my camera with the other hand to show you step by step how to change your guitar strings. And it's in that book, The Guitar Year One. So I recommend it. Okay, you get the idea. Looking for more questions here. Charlie Beagle is commenting on all the sirens. Well, you know what, man? We don't play around. Here's the thing. Among other things, in the town where my music shop is here in Connecticut, we have I-95 cutting through my town. So we've had, truck fires, rollovers, all different kinds of accents. We have Amtrak coming through our town, so occasionally there's a problem that's train related. So even though this is a small town here, you never know what could happen. Never a dull moment. We got a lot of summer people who come here because it's a beautiful place to be in the summer, and that the population, I think, triples in the summer. We've got a nice access to Long Island Sound. We're right on Long Island Sound, so a lot of boat incidents. So never a dull moment, you know. Someday I'll tell you a few firefighter and EMT stories. Some of them are even true. Okay, let's see who else we have here. I say, hey, Jay Cinema. I'm reading your question, Jay Cinema. Oh, what a great question. Love it. Okay, Jay Cinema asks, with a decent understanding of keys and modes and some techniques, what are successful ways to approach writing a bridge section of a song that works well with the verses, chorus, and intro and outro? Great question. You're opening up a very big but very cool can of worms. So I'll give you a couple of my thoughts off the top of my head. And this is just songwriting advice in general. The more songs you learn by other people, the more ideas you get. And you can say, ooh, you recognize some cliches, for lack of a better term. But then lots of times you learn new things, like, ooh, that's an interesting thing, to get into the bridge or to get out of the bridge and go back to the verse or chorus, whatever. So my number one advice is just steal ideas from other people. But as you're stealing, make a mental note, right? Like, oh, they used, the 4 chord, or they used the 5 chord, or they whatever, maybe the bridge actually changed to a different key, but they got you back to the original key thanks to whatever, however they did it. Okay, that's one of the things. Writing a bridge section. By definition, the bridge, you want it to sound noticeably different than the verse and the chorus. So introducing a chord that you haven't used before in the song, you can't go wrong with that, right? You can't go wrong. That's one way to make the bridge pop. It could still be an appropriate chord, a diatonic chord, a chord that still fits the key, but maybe one that you never used before. That's an idea. Another idea is to follow your voice. Get the idea up here melodically first, especially if you have a lyric in mind. Maybe you even have a melody in mind, but if you don't have a melody in mind for the bridge, get the melody in mind and then find the chord that reflects the melody. And I'll get back to that more in a second. As a songwriter myself, every once in a while, I have the common sense to let my voice sing a line and see what comes out naturally. I'm talking about melody. Well, I guess lyrically, you could do that too, right? Lyrically. But melodically, where does my voice want to go? If it feels natural to me, it might feel natural to lots of other human beings. And they may want to sing my song, cover my song, sing along with my song, whatever. At a minimum, it will sound good to their ears because it came naturally out of my ears. And after, being 27 years old, I've heard quite a bit of music in my life, 28 and a half. So that's just another idea for getting into the bridge. What does your ear tell you? What feels good? And then find the chord. Now, what I want to get back to, though, is I was doing a song. It's a Christmas song. It's either Rocking Around the Christmas Tree. No, I'll think of it in a minute. There's some Christmas song that I do with a student on a regular basis. That's a long story, but it's a student who really, really, really is into this song. And every time it goes to the bridge, I'm struck by the fact that the chord does not include the melody note. Okay, so for those of you who might not have thought of this before, One of the reasons why we strum chords as guitar players is because the singer is singing one of those notes, and we're there to support, to help the singer find that note, and then to support that note with beautiful harmony. I mean, that's one reason that the guitars exist. So this one Christmas song is an example, one of many examples, I'm sure, but to me, it's still the exception. The bridge it's this chord, and you see what I'm saying? The chord is like C, E, and G. Those are 3 notes of the chord, C, E, and G for a C major chord. But the melody is, I don't know, D, the note D or something. And it's kind of freaky. But it's a famous Christmas song. Either Santa Claus is Coming to Town or Jingle Bell Rock. That's it. It's either Santa Claus is Coming to Town or Jingle Bell Rock. It must be Jingle Bell Rock. Yeah. We'll get there. Okay. So I hope I'm giving you some tips, Jason. Now, the reason I'm giving you those tips is because your premise of your question is someone, yourself, has a decent understanding of keys and modes. And, otherwise, that I would answer your question differently. But you have some ideas. I guess my final word, a final thought that comes to mind is a certain thing I call the domino effect that I encourage you to think about, which is, and you personally might already be aware of this, but if you're not, great. But if you are, someone else might benefit from this. 7th chords, A7, D7, G7, all those great chords. Some of them are pretty easy chords that have that bluesy touch to them. Right, here's A7. The 3rd open G string is giving that bluesy flavor. Okay, 7th chords have tension that wants to be resolved, and I think of that tension as a domino that's tipping, and it's going to bump into something. It might bump into a partner. I just did A7 to D major. Tension and resolution, great. But instead of D major, what if the A7, that domino tipped to D7? Well, D7 is, let's call it unstable. It has that bluesy slight dissonance. D7, we're not done yet. The one domino just hit another domino. D7 is a chord that likes to go to G chords. But instead of resolving to a nice G major, here's what it would sound like, D7 to G major. What if that D7 went to G7? Another kind of unstable domino that's still tipping. You can keep going like this until you get to whatever your desired result is. So, J Cinema, let's say your verse begins on a C chord, right? And the bridge is great. You've got this bridge. Maybe you've started the bridge, or maybe you haven't even started the bridge. But you know how it's going to end. It's going to end on a C chord because the C chord is what you need because the verse begins on a C chord. Okay, so if you did what I just did, I'm going to start you on E7. Okay. If your bridge happened to start on E7, you can do that. The song can be in the key of C, but E7 would be a really juicy choice. It's not a diatonic chord. That would be a juicy, really, yeah. I mean, could be a very cool bridge to start E7. Okay. E7 likes to go to A, but we're going to go to A7 instead. A7 likes to go to D, but we're going to go to D7 instead. D7 likes to go to G, but we're going to go to G7 instead. Guess what G7 likes to go to? C. You made it back. Now there's your verse, right? Okay. So what I just did there, that would suggest that you're okay with a bunch of 7th chords. That would clearly give your bridge a very specific flavor. But here's my deeper point. Those dominoes tip, getting you to the end result that you want, that is waiting for you as an option. It's waiting for you in there. All those chords, the E7, A7, and D7 are not diatonic within the key of C, but it doesn't mean you can't use them. It just means you gotta, you open that line of questioning, and you open that door, and like, okay, you better know what you're doing. You better get us back home again. 100%. I think the best metaphor as a performer or as a songwriter is you're taking the listener on a trip. You're in the cockpit of a plane, and they assume that you know what you're doing, right? So they're willing to go with you. They're willing to, like, those twists and turns, those non-diatonic chords. They're okay with that, but they really are counting on a smooth landing. So you can get away with anything in a song, but nailing that smooth landing is, if you want a song to be commercially successful and you want it to be appealing to your friends and family, you want to have that. You want to get them back to where they thought they were going to go. And they thought they were going to go in a C chord, because presumably you've been in the key of C and you've been playing lots of C chords. And okay, so I hope some of those thoughts help. It's an awesome question. Okay, everybody. A to Z, me. You clarified your question. You say, it could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the original Blowing in the Wind is F, B flat, and C, but I'm usually wrong about these things. Yes, you're wrong, but it doesn't mean that you didn't bring up a great subject. Off the top of my head, I don't know the original key of Blowing in the Wind. If it happened to sound like it had a B flat chord in it, it was almost certainly because Mr. Dylan capoed up to a certain key, and whatever he played sounded like a B flat chord. And that opens up the whole thing about what a capo does. I love talking about that stuff. I'm not going to get into that right now. Doesn't mean that you didn't come across a posting somewhere that said, hey, here's how you play Blowing in the Wind, and include those 3 chords. It's possible. It's unfortunate if that's what it was, but I'm trying to think if I have a video on how to play Blowing in the Wind. I don't know. I hope I do. I should, but I don't know. So your original post text up above, it said, how do you go from F to B? And I said, ooh, that's not how it goes. And now you're clarifying F to B flat, which is far more common. And there's no cute way to go from F to B flat. I mean, I can show you how to do it, but let's not get into it, because it's not how you play Blowing in the Wind. But if you would ask me the right way to play it, just like Bob Dylan, the right key, I don't want to just take a guess off the top of my head. I'd rather give you the accurate information. I don't want to be that guy who's spreading fake news. So maybe someone out there can, I hate to make you guys work, but someone go to my YouTube channel or just Google it or something on your phone and see, did I do a video on Blowing in the Wind? Or check Ultimate Guitar or something like that. It's extremely possible Bob Dylan capoed it, though. So whatever chords he's playing, quick example, if he's got the capo on the 3rd fret, but he's playing what looks like a G chord, the G chord would sound like a B flat. So someone might say, oh, I hear a B flat chord, and they would be correct. They would be correct, but he's not playing a B flat chord. He's making a G chord sound like a B flat chord because of the capo at the 3rd fret. So last word on the subject, A to Z, me. Do not struggle with how to go from F to B flat until you're comfortable with lots of other easier chord changes. I don't mean to say don't work at it, but that's not necessarily going to be the best use of your time unless you're blowing through lots of other chord changes so easily and you're looking for a challenge. And we go on about that, but I'll leave it at that for right now. Mr. Bojangles. Yeah. In my mind, I was playing Friend of the Devil a little while ago, but that was Mr. Bojangles. That's right. That Jerry Jeff Walker, right? Yes, that's the Mr. Bojangles descending bass line. Right. I was back at Friend of the Devil. Okay, I'm scrolling up a little bit. Bear with me a little bit, everybody. I love all these questions, man. This is like more questions than ever. Hey, we have 42 people currently amongst us. Thank you for being here. I would love to see 42 thumbs up. I see 18 thumbs ups. So let's get that to 42. Why? I don't know why. Maybe YouTube would like me better. Yeah. And if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, I appreciate that. We're still somewhere between 197,000 and 198,000 subscribers, and I would just mean a lot to me to get up to 200,000. It's going to happen eventually, but I'd rather have it happen sooner than later. So I appreciate those of you who have not subscribed to my YouTube channel. It's free. Click on subscribe. That's all you got to do. But let's get a few more. Oh, look at that. 31 thumbs up. Holy cow. Oh, all right. Come on. There's 14 of you who are watching. Come on. Give it a thumbs up. Come on. All right. Reading. Scott Rhodes says, I want to work triads into my noodling and practice. I know some of the common shapes, such as the C, D, and E shapes. Any tips? Yeah, we talked about this a little bit last time. And oh, by the way, I love talking about subjects a second time. I do. And here's why. It shows me what's on your minds out there. And if there's one thing that is part of my job, it's to know what you guys are thinking, rather than sitting here and, I don't know, talking about something that you guys are not particularly concerned about. Long story short, up the neck chords. I'm a big fan of taking D and moving up the neck, right? I'm moving A up the neck. I forgot if A, Scott, no, you didn't mention A. Okay, moving A up the neck, but replacing 3 separate individual fingers for A major with 1 finger. Now, I'm not going to include the skinny string when I strum. I can't help but to touch the skinny string with my index finger, and I don't care, that's fine. But I'm only going to focus on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th strings. Now, I am semi-obsessed with a 1-finger A chord. And I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to be ashamed of it. Now, the reason I'm obsessed with it is because you can do so much with it, because you have 3 available fingers to embellish on that 1-finger A chord, Okay, so Scott, you want to work this into your noodling and practice. By the way, noodling counts. Noodling is when you just mess around on the guitar, right? I hope all of you noodle around on the guitar. Not at the expense of like practice, but it counts as practice. It counts. A lot of good things can come from noodling. Just make sure you're doing some structured stuff as well. So I'll leave it at that. Okay. So Scott, I'm not sure if this is going to, well, hopefully what I'm doing with this 1-finger A chord is going to give you some creative ideas. The reason I'm not going to show you with a 1-finger D chord is, check it out. I have 3 fingers committed, and that only leaves the pinky for embellishments. It's not ideal. Some of you might say, well, what about doing it as a bar? I'm thinking of a D chord, a D shape now, right? There's my bar on the 3 treble strings, 2nd fret. I'll use my middle finger, 2nd string, 3rd fret. Now I have 2 fingers ready to embellish. Yeah, I just don't like it. Doesn't feel good. I don't know. 1-finger A chord, that feels good. So let's focus on that. Real quick. Every fret on the guitar represents a new note, in this case, a new chord. Okay? So I'm going to run through this real quick, because I know some of you know this, but some of you, this is going to be a little bit eye-opening. I hope it is. Okay. We all agree that's an A major chord, but instead of doing an A major with 3 separate fingers, I'm doing it with 1 finger. And I'm going to focus my pick on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th strings. That is a triad because it's 3 notes. In this case, the 3 notes of an A major chord. That's, I don't need either of the fat bass strings. I don't need the skinny 1st E string. I don't. If someone says play me an A major chord, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th strings is all I need. It's the legal, FDA approved, A major chord. Okay, A major, A sharp major, B major. I'm going to pause right there. A B major chord. Some of you are like, oh, I never knew how to play a B major chord. It's an A major up 2 frets. Okay, 4th fret, 4th fret, 4th fret. Okay, that's B major. C major at 5. 5, 5, 5. Some of you might say, hey, wait a minute. A sharp, B. Shouldn't that be B sharp? No. B and C are best chums. Get it? Best chums. There's nothing that separates B and C. Nothing separates the B chord and the C chord. Nothing separates the note B from the note C. They just one right after another. So A, or the full name, an A major chord, an A sharp major chord, a B major chord, C major, C sharp major, D major. Ooh, we love D, right? These are extremely popular chords. 777. 888, that's D sharp major, E major, 999. E and F, guess what? Everlasting friends. Is that adorable or what? Everlasting friends. E and F are inseparable. There's no sharp thing in between. 999 is E, 101010 is F. 111111, an F sharp major chord. 121212, a G major chord. 131313, G sharp major. And I'm going to stop at 141414. Why am I going to stop there? Because we've made it full circle back to an A major chord. 12 frets. Every time you move 12 frets up the neck, like I just did, you end up back where you started, name-wise. 222, 14, 14, 14. Okay? Now, we could talk more and more about this, but I'll leave it at that for right now. Second thing, real quick. Remember I said A sharp, B? That A sharp, I could also call it by its flat name, B flat. A, B flat, B. Why are there two different names for the same thing? I don't know. I accept it. But I'm sure you'd have to talk to a musical historian to sort of dig deeper into why that happened. But it has a value, and there's a reason. You have to accept it, and it makes your life easier if you just accept it. That thing right there could be called a B flat major chord, and it could be called an A sharp major chord. So any of the ones that I said with their sharp names, they also have flat names too. I'll leave it at that. Okay. Last thing. Well, this is the actual answer to your question, Scott. You asked about using triads for noodling in practice. Okay. I'm going to illustrate this with my one finger A chord. I could illustrate it with any of these. The reason I'm going to illustrate it with the A chord, oh, by the way, an A backwards one, somebody in the chat, somebody tell me what the name of that is. It was A major. Actually, there's two possible names for that thing right there. It was A major, and now technically there's two other major names that could be called. So someone put it in the chat, okay? You get a hearty handshake from me to you. The two possible names, not possible, the two names of that thing right there. Okay, so the reason I'm using A as an example rather than C or D or whatever is just because I'm going to be adding low frets that I bet for most of you, this is your comfort zone, right? Is the first 4 or 5 frets of the guitar. And that's as it should be. Okay. Adding on fingers. Now you can just experiment. I can just say, okay, now put your fingers down and experiment. That is not very helpful advice. You guys are committed here. We got 47, we got 41 viewers, but only 37 thumbs up. Well, come on, you guys. That means there's 4 of you out there. Actually, do I count as one? Maybe I count as, can I give myself a thumbs up? I don't see how, but okay. I'm going to show you what to do, but I won't lie. This may be a little bit challenging for some of you because you're going to maintain that. Oh, by the way, thumb is pointing straight up to the ceiling, hidden behind the neck. I'm saying hidden because it's not, you can't see my thumb, right? It's hidden behind the neck. That's going to be helpful in what we're about to do. Okay. Arching over your remaining fingers while you keep the A triad down here is not going to be exactly easy because we still want to hear the second, third, and fourth strings, even when we're arching fingers over and doing extra stuff. Okay, so when you noodle, middle finger, second string, third fret. It's a very cool bonus note. Let's call these bonus notes. You can put your finger there and do it as a pull-off. You can hammer on to that note. You can strum. I did a hammer on pull-off. I strummed the fourth, third, and second strings. I I hammer down hard and I pull it off. Another note that sounds good, 4th string, 4th fret, ring finger. Another note that sounds good, 4th fret, 3rd string. All of those notes you can do hammer-ons and pull-offs. I'm getting a little cramped up. So those are some ideas. Now, what I just did, though, you can do that with any of those 1-finger major chords. It may even be easier, depending on your hands, to do some of those things I just did, but do it higher up. You'd have to remember, okay, which finger, which string, but take that information and just repeat that information higher up. Okay, so I hope that helps. Okay, everybody, I am going to live up to my promise to talk about the circle of fifths. Here we are, over an hour into the show. If some of you have been waiting for circle of fifths information, now is the time. If you are so inclined, you get a pencil and paper handy. I'm going to make this relatively quick, but it's worth taking a little time and talking about the circle of fifths. Okay, the circle of fifths is a symbol, and I was going to make one and have one handy. But actually, the first thing, though, doesn't involve you and I looking at the circle of fifths together. I'm going to prepare you to work with the circle of fifths. And I sat at the cafe today with my coffee and treat and made some notes. And so I have my cheat sheets here. Okay, the circle of fifths. Among many ways you can describe the circle of fifths image is an aid to memorizing stuff. It's like a cheat sheet. It's a great cheat sheet. But that's one reason that we're having this conversation, and the one reason why some of you are want to find out what's up with the circle of fifths is the benefit you're going to get. The benefit is it's an aid to memorizing crucial information about music. Okay. One reason why you want to know about the circle of fifths is the songs that you already play, you will look at them differently. You will see more deeply into those songs. You'll think more deeply about those songs. Sadly, the circle of fifths won't make your fingers faster. It doesn't make an F chord easier. But again, whatever you've been doing already on the guitar, and certainly whatever you do in the future, you will get more out of the song. More synapses of your brain will zap and connect. And the song and your experience with the song, your experience with music will be more meaningful. Okay. Music is vibrations. Let's start at 0. Ground zero. Music is vibrations, invisibly zipping through the air, right? It's vibrations. And we give those vibrations value. We do it all the time. We say, I love this song. I hate that song. I love that guitar player. I don't care for that guitar player, whatever. I love the sound of a trombone. I do not care for a sound of a soprano saxophone. When my child plays the violin, it is rough, but it's still vibrations going through the air, but we give those vibrations value, right? I'm not talking about the timbre. The timbre is the quality of the sound. So timbre is why a trombone sounds different from a guitar, right? The timbre. They can both play the note B flat, but your ear tells you, oh, that's a trombone, because the timbre is different. So when I say giving the vibrations of value, I'm talking about partly a scientific value. If any of you have ever heard of A440, at some point in civilization, it was decided that the note A is 440 vibrations per second, the frequency, 440 hertz, right? It was, I don't know who got together and voted, but, so when something makes that sound, the vibrations reach the exact moment of 440 vibrations per second. We decide that is an in tune, perfect A note, okay? And if it's 442 vibrations per second or 437 vibrations per second, it's an A kind of, but it's a little bit out of tune, a little bit flat or sharp, a little bit too high, a little bit too low. Okay, so now we have vibrations, that exist because we pluck our guitar strings or whatever. And we give them a scientific value, a tonal center, patterns. We like to hear patterns, and we want to know this structure. We're humans, right? Patterns are all about the patterns. So we're looking for a tonal center. I don't know if babies are looking for it. I assume they are, but certainly by the time you're even a very young age, I assume that you've heard enough music that you begin to notice patterns, including the big one, which is a tonal center, T-O-N-A-L. If music didn't have a tonal center, we call that free jazz, right? Or it's music that we don't know where it's going. We don't, for many of us, we don't get it. It's like where, and but what you're not getting is that feeling of a tonal center, okay? Now, maybe some of you want to hear free jazz. Maybe, you've had the kind of day where you want to crank up some music that doesn't have an obvious tonal center. Maybe the tonal center can be a bad thing, a nursery rhyme. Maybe you're not in the mood to hear a nursery rhyme because it sticks so closely to the tonal center, a nursery song, I should say, maybe, so I don't want to, okay, you get the idea, tonal center. And I'll give you examples in a minute. So this is tying into the circle of fifths. I'm getting there. Hang in there. Okay, so the tonal center is the note, the single note that I'm going to call it the headquarters. Every song has a tonal center. Certainly the popular music, conventional, I hate to say normal, but regular music has a tonal center. And it has, it takes a trip away from the tonal center and comes back, and goes away and comes back. It's the end of a song, typically a typical song with a typical ending, not a fade out, but a typical ending, because la, 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 la. You get to, instead of singing it, I'm going to play it. You get back to your tonal center. You can feel it. It's going to come, okay? The tonal center establishes the key that a song is in. If you ever wondered what it means for a song to be in a certain key, well, the key starts with a center, the tonal center, and it's everything relates back to that. It could be a minor key, it could be a major key, it could be a blues song, it could be anything, but it has a tonal center, and that tonal center is the heart of the key of the song that you're in. What does that mean, the key of a song? It's the limits. It's what can happen in a song and what either can't or shouldn't or is unlikely to happen in a song. Anything can happen in a song, but as you throw the listener curveballs and do weird things and pull them away from the tonal center, you may lose a few fans. Then again, depends on who you're playing for and what you want to do. But a key, once you talk about a key with a tonal center and a major key, the key of C major, you are talking about what's available to you and also what is not available to you, or what's conventional and what's unconventional. That's a better way of putting it, because anything is available to you, but conventional and unconventional. You are challenging the listener or not particularly challenging the listener. What we're talking about is tension and resolution. Sounds like technical stuff, but I'll give you an example of tension and resolution, because you've heard tension and resolution ever since you started listening to music. If I played, there's two more notes, right? At the end, remember shaving a haircut? Now there's a little tension because you're like, come on, man, finish the riff. It's one more note. Now there's some tension. Okay, the tension has been resolved. Shave and a haircut, 2 bits. Okay, until I get to that last note, there's some tension in the air, right? Okay, so tension, resolution. What kind of music doesn't have much tension and resolution? Dentist office music, elevator music. We don't want a whole lot of tension. I'm playing a C major chord. That's C with no index finger. It's interesting. It's a beautiful chord. I love this chord. It might be my favorite chord. Not a whole lot of tension here, right? I could change to another chord. F major 7. That's F with an open E string. Okay, not much tension there. It's a different chord. Another major 7 chord. Okay, so yeah, you can have music with very, very little tension in it. And there's a time and a place for that. When you're in the elevator, what do you want to hear when you're in the elevator? Chill music. Okay, so tension and resolution, but it exists. It's real. Okay, so a tonal center in a certain key. I want to talk about the key of C. Teachers always want to talk about the key of C. Why? Because it's alphabetical and it sounds so simple. The key of C, with C being the tonal center, the key of C is represented by a C major scale. C, you just go alphabetically. Some of you know this already. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. It's not that the key of C is easy to play on the guitar necessarily. It's that visually, if you were to look at it on a piece of paper, it just looks like the alphabet. Life is good. We like the key of C. It's fun to talk about just the alphabet. Who doesn't want to talk about the key of C? C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, the C major scale. If you were to play those alphabetical notes on any instrument, it gets that satisfying do, re, mi sound, okay? So we're getting to this circle of fifths. It's coming up, you know. One of the reasons the key of C looks so good on paper is it doesn't have any of those notes called flats or sharps, which we get scared of. And guitar players especially should not get scared of it, because flats and sharps are just another fret on the guitar. Unlike a piano where they literally make the flats and sharps the black keys and they shift them up away from the white keys, right? If you picture what a piano looks like, I mean, they make the flats and sharps like separate. On the guitar, there's, you know, notes are notes. There's nothing easier or harder about playing flats or sharps. But nevertheless, the key of C looks so nice because there's no flats or sharps attached to the notes, which is fine. It's the only key, is the only major scale with no flats or sharps. Okay. So, getting back to the circle of fifths, you want to know about the 12 keys of music as a guitar player. You want to understand what it means to be in the key of G. You want to know what to expect when someone says, oh, this song it's easy in the key, it's in the key of D, it's easy. You want to know what that means, right? The circle of fifths is an aid to memorizing crucial information quickly and keeping it in your brain. I always joke that there should be a tattoo that you could put on your arm right about there with a circle of fifths in it, because then when you're playing the guitar, just sitting right there. You know, why not? If you're going to get a tattoo anyways, that's my suggestion. Okay, so now I want to cover more about the circle of fifths in maybe the next live stream. But the circle of fifths, picture a circle, right? In the 12 o'clock position, they put a big capital C, because that's a great place to start, you know. The key of C, they make that the royalty, you know. No sharps or flats, the key of C. We're going to put it right at the top of the circle. And then going around the circle clockwise, which is I'm doing it backwards from my point of view, but hopefully that looks like clockwise to you guys, right? 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Okay, going around. The letters that you're going to see, C, G, D, A, E, those letters can represent a variety of things. Most of us are taught that the C at the top represents the C major scale, also known as the key of C. The G, which I would call the 1 o'clock position, represents the G major scale in the key of G. Why is G the very next thing clockwise? Because unlike the C, the key of C, which had no sharps or flats, the key of G has one sharp note. That means the G major scale has one sharp note. It happens to be F sharp. That's not crucial information at the moment. Key of C, no sharps or flats. Key of G, one sharp note. Next letter you're going to see is the D. Well, the key of D has two sharp notes. The D major scale has two sharp notes, and it keeps going. One sharp, two sharps, three sharps, as you go around the scale clockwise. Last thing I'm going to say, and then we'll move on to your questions, is, because don't worry, there's a lot more to talk about, but maybe we'll pick that up next live stream. The significance of the G major scale is one sharp. Well, okay, what am I going to do with that information? Because the key of G has one sharp in the key, the major scale of G major scale has one sharp, that changes the chords that you're going to find in the key of G. So getting back to what I said a minute ago, someone says, oh, this song's in the key of G, and they expect you to know what to do with that information. Well, guess what? In the key of G, you're going to find at least one, a song in the key of G is going to have at least one chord, I bet you, that has has an F sharp, a chord with an F sharp in it. I'll say that again. If someone tells you a song's in the key of G, you're extremely likely, when you go to play the chords of that song, you're extremely likely to play a chord with an F sharp note in it. Because you're in the key of G, the G major scale has one sharp note, F sharp, and that chord is extremely likely to be a D major chord. So if someone says the song's in the key of G, well, you know it's going to have a G major chord, right? I mean, it has to. It's in the key of G. It's going to have a D chord. There's the note F sharp, by the way, second fret on the first string. That's a note F sharp. Okay, so I know I'm just scratching the surface here, but if you know what key a song is in and what it means that it's in the key of A, what that means, it gives you so much information about that song before you even see the tab, before you even see the chords. Right away, it gives you so much information if you're familiar with the circle of fifths and the variety of things a circle of fifths tells us. Now, those of you who have a little experience with the circle of fifths, if you're not already commenting in your head, you're like, oh, but it also tells you the 1, 4, and 5 chord. Yep. It also tells you the relative minor chord. Yep. There's all of the above. The circle of fifths helps you retain / memorize a ton of information. So hopefully some of that is sinking in. Those of you who already have some familiarity with the circle of fifths, maybe how I just explained it, how I just started to explain it, maybe that will help you look at it with new eyes too. So to be continued, okay? What'd be cool is if in the next live stream, you open up with some questions. Okay, Jonathan, you said this about the circle of fifths, you said this, and then I can use your questions to help me go, talk more about the circle of fifths. I'll leave it at that for right now. Okay, thank you for listening. Okay, back to your questions. I'm scrolling, my friends. I'm scrolling. North Country Fisher says, how do you strum with a pick and finger pick at the same time? Short answer is you don't. Typically, you commit to playing a song either with the pick or your bare fingers. But heaven forbid I answer a question in 5 seconds, when I could take 5 minutes. There is such a thing as hybrid picking. Hybrid picking is extremely common. I would venture to say it's more common with electric guitar players than acoustic guitar players. Hybrid picking is when you're using a pick, you're holding the pick the same way, you don't change anything, but you incorporate one or more of your bare fingers in what you're doing. It helps if you grow out your fingernails a little bit, because your fingernails are competing with a rigid pick or some type of, pretty firm plastic, right? Whether or not you grow out your fingernails, you for sure have to have a light touch with your pick and a stronger touch with your fingers to get a balanced sound. And again, this is called hybrid picking. It's a hybrid. It's a cross between pick and fingers. Got my C chord. I'm plucking my 5th string with a pick, going down towards my leg. And then my middle is plucking up on the 4th string. And my ring is plucking up on my 3rd string. Why would someone want to do that instead of just plucking them all individually with the pick? Number one, just a different approach. That's all, different approach. Number 2, though, people who really commit to becoming awesome hybrid guitar players can do some very cool, very fast things. And again, my experience has been it's electric guitar players who do this more than acoustic guitar. Electric guitar, don't forget, skinnier strings. So maybe don't take quite as much oomph from those fingers to be as loud as a light pick stroke. It's not unheard of for people who get into hybrid picking to wear a metal finger pick on one or more fingers to get a louder sound. Not unheard of. So hybrid picking. If you want to find well, I mean, obviously you can go to YouTube and look for tutorials on hybrid picking. Very often it's country playing that introduces a lot of cool hybrid picking. Why country? Because it potentially can sound so much like a banjo, and because banjo players in effect are doing that. Typically a banjo player is wearing a thumb pick and 2 metal finger picks, and they have that rapid fire ding kind of banjo playing. So guitar players, to imitate that without actually having to put down their pick, they grow out their fingernails and do these cool repetitive things. So hybrid picking. So there you go. Great question. Scott's asking, hey, if you're not a confident singer, any tips for playing and singing anyways? Well, you're right. I mean, it takes a certain amount of confidence to play and sing. Any tips? I mean, I'm always going to direct all of you to take lessons, not just sing lessons. Take some guitar lessons. I will say this: I'm familiar with people who have taken a small number of sing lessons and have improved their singing phenomenally. So I can't emphasize that enough. Don't underestimate the value of taking a handful of sing lessons. I mean that from the heart. Not just for your overall confidence, but for your singing ability. But then again, it's hard to separate your confidence with your ability. As you get more confident with anything, you do it better. As you do it better, you get more confident. It's a vicious cycle, but in a good way. So that's my first thought about that. My friends, I have about another half hour in me. I'm going to try to wrap up in 30 minutes. I can't promise anything, but I'm going to try to wrap up. If those of you who are so inclined would like to, you are welcome to make a super chat donation, which means you click on that little $sign at the bottom of the screen and donate whatever is in your budget. And I appreciate that with thanks in advance. The other thing I want to say is one way I would like to say thank you to you. Don't forget my book and ebooks are on sale right now for this live stream for you. Because I appreciate that there are 46 of you. Hold on, we have 46 viewers. I love this. We have 46 viewers at this moment, but 47 thumbs up. That's awesome. That means people have come and gone, and they, thank you. So for those of you watching, feel free to take advantage. 15% off my ebooks or my real solid paper book. Coupon code is Livestream15, Livestream15. Head over to www.song-bike.com. You don't have to do it right this second. Actually, the sale goes for a little while even after our live stream. So you don't have to leave us and just to buy the book. But I recommend those books. I love those books. I'm so proud of those books. Someday I will, like during a live stream, I'll take one book and take 5 minutes and just show you what I was thinking when I wrote the book. And the next live stream, I'll do it with a different book. But I think I have 7 books total. Most of them are ebooks. So again, if you buy one, a link comes to your email address and you download it onto your computer. It does not come in the mail. The only one that does come in the mail is that one from Hal Leonard Publication, one called Easy Guitar, Chord, and Lead Tricks. That one you order and I mail it from me to you. Okay. You guys, I'm laughing here. Okay. Beginner Guitar says, do you think a student should learn major scale on 3 strings first or all 6 first? Excellent question. 3 strings. Yeah, 3 strings. It's like taking a small bite of something to see if you like it before you take a big bite. Except, of course, you like it because it's a major scale. So a 3-string major scale. Oh, some of you are going to see an ad pretty soon. Ads will run shortly for some viewers. I don't think you will miss any of my pearls of wisdom here. I think it just gets delayed and you come back, and hopefully you can just skip the ad. So a major scale, a 3-string major scale. I'm going to do it starting on the 3rd string, 5th fret. Why there? Partly because it gives us a C major scale, and everyone loves the C major scale for no obvious reason. Just that, remember, it has no sharps or flats, whatever. But also, for those of you who have a comfort zone down here and never explore the, the outer reaches of the guitar here, why not get up to 5s and 7s and 8s? Okay, so 3-string major scale, absolutely the most useful pattern a beginner could learn. I'm going to say the numbers, but I want you to notice which fingers I'm using, because I'm also going to do it and I'm going to say the fingers. But numerically, 3rd string, G string first, 5, 7. You're done. B string, 5, 6, 8. E string, 5, 7, 8. So G string, I'm just going to plow right through. 5, 7, 5, 6, 8, 5, 7, 8. You got to do it backwards. 8, 7, 5, 8, 6, 5, 7, 5. Your ear will correct you because we're so used to the classic sound of a major scale. Trust me, if you play a wrong note, your ear will know something's wrong. Index, this is important, ring. Index, middle, pinky. Got to do it that way. Index, middle, pinky. Index, ring, pinky. This is important. There will be a quiz. This is important. Index, ring, index, middle, pinky, index, ring, pinky, and then do it backwards. For extra credit, always do, I shouldn't say extra credit, always alternate picking. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. You will never regret your ability to smoothly alternate down, up, picking. Okay, so that's what I'd recommend for anybody to starting with major scales. It's great. It's not the only way, but the reason why I jumped to this one is if you truly have that memorized and you're playing it accurate the way I just did it, and you're confident you got it, you should be able to take that whole pattern and move the entire pattern to new starting places up and down the neck. And that's how you know you really got it. 9, 11, 9, 10, 12, 9, 11, 12. Okay, now that is a step towards mastering the guitar. Not just the alternate picking, not just the consistent logical fingering, but your ability to do all that stuff all up and down the neck. You should be proud of yourself if you can do that, and you can just, if you can do it and then name it, was that an E flat major scale? Is that a B flat major scale? That's you get a gold star for that, honestly. Okay. Charlie Beagle says, is Old Saybrook, that's where my music shop is, one of those towns, one of those places where they call pizza a pizza? And it is the Connecticut shoreline. I'm trying to think if we have one here we have multiple pizza places. For those of you who live in other parts of the country, we have all the pizza here. And you guys have something that looks like pizza from a distance, I guess, but apparently we have new ones opening all the time. I can't even tell you. I would have to stop. I live in a town. The population is under 10,000 for sure. How many? I should know. Well, the town my music shop is in, under 10,000 people. I would have to stop and count. Maybe 10 pizza places. Good pizza. We don't have bad pizza. We have Greek pizza, non-Greek pizza. Yeah. So I can't remember if my town or where my shop is, but for sure along the shoreline of Connecticut, there are places that serve a pizza. It's not just called pizza. They put the A first, a pizza, all one word. Yeah. Dave says that new telly looks great. It's not a new telly, but you are reminding me. I love Telecasters so much. Heart and soul, I love Telecasters. I promised earlier that I would share with you my experience with a Fender Custom Shop, and I'm going to do that. I ordered a guitar from the Fender Custom Shop, and I'll keep this story short because this story apparently is never going to end. Okay. In 2021, I thought to myself, whoa, I've been teaching the guitar for 29 years. And I gotta buy myself a present for teaching 30 years, right? which would have been April of 2022 would mark 30 years. So in the summer of 2021, I thought, man, I'm gonna get a custom guitar from the Fender Custom Shop. Yeah, it sounded so good at the time. And I knew it would take months to get I had no doubt it would take months. In fact, I wasn't, I thought to myself, it might not arrive literally on the anniversary of me teaching guitar for 30 years. That's fine. It's going to be a Fender custom guitar, man, made by, hard workers in California, making so in September of 2021, I went to a perfectly reputable, good place here in Connecticut that is a Fender Custom Shop dealer, because you have to order through a custom shop dealer. It's not one of those things where you just send a letter or send an email. And I tried my first question was, is there any chance that I could just jet out to California on my own dime, of course, and sit in a Fender room and just touch a bunch of different Fender guitars so I know what I want? I knew I wanted Telecaster because I love Telecasters. Is there any chance? I mean, just give me an hour, not even an hour, but I wanted to feel, different neck sizes. I wanted to feel different fret sizes. There's stuff that you just don't know until you feel it, right? Because I have a perfectly good Fender Telecaster. I like it fine. I mean, I love Telecasters, but I did not want to get a duplicate of this, obviously. So, for instance, I wanted one with a rosewood neck. I love rosewood. I play so much acoustic guitar. The maple neck never felt quite right. So glossy and slick and never felt quite right. I want to get a humbucker, maybe even a P90 in the neck position, because I have a perfectly good Telecaster with a single coil, traditional single coil in the neck position. No, the answer is no. No, you don't just fly out to California and get let into a Fender room and try out a bunch of guitars. Someone does. Famous people do, but I'm just me. Okay, so instead I went around this guitar shop here in Connecticut and I tried out a bunch of Fender guitars, and I found a guitar with a big fat neck. They called it U shape. Oh, it felt so good. The guitar I tried had been relicked. The back of the neck had made it look like it was old. Felt amazing. I almost thought about buying that guitar right then and there because the neck felt so good. If the neck of a guitar does not feel great to your hand, it's never going to feel great. You can get used to a lot of other stuff. You can't. I didn't see any need to get used to. I wanted that neck. So I said, oh my God, whatever this neck is called, I want that neck. I tried a bunch of different Fender guitars. I found out that I really liked medium jumbo frets. I didn't like the vintage frets, the tall fret. Nope, medium. So it was fun. I was trying different guitars. I didn't care too much about the tuning machines. I figured whatever Fender put on there, I can live with that. I wanted what they call compensated saddles, which this does not have. This is a vintage. This is a replica of a 1952 Telecaster. Okay, so I'm just telling you the specs. I knew I wanted a single coil here. I wasn't sure. I tried different. I tried what they call the Cunife, C-U-N-I-F-E, Cunife pickups that Fender pushes a lot. A lot of Fender Telecasters have a Cunife pickup here as an alternative single coil. Didn't like it. Decided to go with a humbucker. Fender suggested a Seymour Duncan Antiquity humbucker that would pair nicely with what they call a loaded 51 pickup here. Great. Pickups are the easiest thing to change anyways, right? Okay, so I order my Fender Custom Shop Telecaster. Rosewood neck, U-shape, relic back, medium jumbo frets, whatever the standard tuners are, I'm fine with that. Seymour Duncan Antiquity pickup, loaded 51 pickup. I went with what they call a parchment colored pickguard. The guitar itself, shell pink. No regrets, loved it. Couldn't think of any famous guitar players that use shell pink. Gotta have it, love it. Chose not to pay extra money to have the guitar relicked. I will relic it myself. Thank you very much. So, the guitar was ordered to look like a regular guitar. It didn't look like it was found in a barn someplace under a bunch of hay. But I did have them relic the back of the neck because, like I said, the one I tried felt amazing. Do you see a shell pink Telecaster anywhere in the room? This is now June of 2023. So I've been waiting 20 months. You're welcome to do the math. I wish I had a story for it. I wish I could tell you, oh, it's because they made it when they dropped it. Or, it caught fire in the UPS truck on its way to me. In January of this year, Fender told me 2 months. Great, okay. I mean, all I want is information. I can wait. I'm a patient person. January of 2023, that's when I heard 2 more months. So that January, March, February, March, that blew past that deadline. In early May, Fender told me end of the month. They said I was a priority, which felt great. I'm a priority. And that my Fender Custom Telecaster would come at the end of the month. My big mistake was I thought they meant the end of that month. It could be the end of any month, but the month of May has come and gone. And so now they're looking into it. So, okay, that's my experience with the Fender Custom Shop. You might say, well, didn't I reach out to my dealer, the one who actually placed the order? Yeah, I mean, nothing against them. I mean, they reach out to Fender, and Fender, whenever Fender's good and ready, Fender tells them whatever they tell them, and then they pass it on to me. I have a customer service rep that I've been emailing with at Fender who, seems to be out there in Scottsdale, Arizona at some Fender headquarters. And every once in a while, he looks into the guitar and tells me, well, he's the one who told me end of the month, and that I was a priority. So, okay, that's it. Thanks for listening. It's going to be a great guitar. It has crossed my mind to just ask for my deposit back and move on with my life. I just want a pink Telecaster, man. So now I've taught guitar for 31 plus years. Still hoping for that guitar. Okay, thanks for listening. I feel a little bit better having shared it with you. When I do get the guitar, I can't wait to play it for you. I can't wait. You may be the first to know about it, Okay, back to you. Let's talk about you for a minute. Okay. Brian O'Donnell says, good evening, Jonathan. I am new to guitar. Is there any one strumming pattern that fits most songs? Excellent question. No, but there certainly are patterns that happen a lot. There are patterns that work for a lot of songs. So, Brian, I'm going to keep this quick because you're asking a great question, but I want to give you something to work with because I could go on and on about this. Okay, there's a pattern that a lot of people do intuitively after they spend a few weeks and months with a guitar. And for all I know, you already do this. I did this pattern too much, meaning I tried to apply this pattern to every song. Quick reminder, I did not take guitar lessons. I took drum lessons and then decided I want to play the guitar, which was no regrets. I'm a pretty decent drummer. For a high school kid, I was a good drummer. I still play like a good high school drummer. But getting back to your question, my point, I found a pattern, and you guys are going to recognize this in a second, and it works for a lot of songs. It just doesn't work for every song. And I was very frustrated because I wanted to square peg, round hole. Okay, I'm doing this with a nice E minor chord. Down, down, up, down. Sound familiar, right? There are some songs that have that exact pattern. There's a lot of songs where that pattern fits, even though it's not exactly what the person is strumming. It fits that song. So the downs and ups matter, period. I'm not going to say it again. Upstrokes, especially with this type of strumming, upstrokes usually are a glancing stroke off of 2 or 3 strings. An upstroke should not be as many strings as humanly possible. That'll slow you down. It'll make you sound clumsy. So even though I'm talking about downs and ups, they are not equal. A down strum often is, however many strings are legally allowable. On an E minor chord, you're allowed to play all 6 strings. Nothing wrong with that. An upstroke, a little glancing stroke. It took me years as a teacher before it occurred to me to really make that clear. Okay. down, down, up, down. Some of you already know this, but listen anyways, because you may, I hope you teach this to somebody else, and I want you to be able to teach it efficiently. So by efficiently, I mean catch a problem before it becomes a problem. So let's say you're awesome at this, but you never taught it to another person. Here's how you teach it to another person. First of all, you verbalize it. Down, down, up, down. Notice I wasn't strumming the guitar. You don't, I want you to hear my voice first. Down, down, up, down, 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 up, down. Okay? The number one mistake students make, and this is 100% understandable, is they feel awkward doing 2 ups in a row. I'm going to do it slow motion. Down, down, up, down. People get hung up on that. I understand. I see it all the time. One way I saw it described, and I've kind of borrowed this myself. Oh, this is from Hal Leonard Guitar Method Book 1. They call it a miss. Watch this. Down, down, up, miss, up, down, 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 up, miss, up, down. I think it's book 1. Could it be book 2? Maybe book 2. That miss was a silent downstroke, that's all. But I've had students where that verbalizing that miss, hearing me say it, and then they might even say it themselves, total game changer. That's all they need. And then they don't get hung up on those 2 upstrokes. Down, down, up. Okay, so that's one right there, Brian. That's the absolute first one that comes to mind. It's just hard enough that you feel good when you master it. It's just easy enough that anybody can do it. And it's got enough personality to it that it does fit a lot of songs without fitting everything. Okay, if I had to give you one more, we got about 10 minutes, folks. So I'm going to answer as many questions as I can. If I don't get to your question next time, next Saturday, hey, happy Father's Day, before I forget, all you dads out there. I'm hoping I can grab my son for a quick breakfast tomorrow before he has to go to work. That's part of my plan. And then got to say hi to my dad tomorrow too. Okay, if I were to give you one more strum pattern, which is actually a lot more useful in the long run, or it has a lot more potential. I'll stay with the E minor chord. The boom chick pattern. Any of you, Brian, any of you who are not good at this or haven't done this much, today's the day, man. You got to get good at this. Boom chick. You hit a certain bass string. It depends on the chord. I'm going to hit the 6th string on E minor chord. It sounds good to hit the fat 6th string first, just by itself with a downstroke. And then a light brush on 3 or 4 strings. It doesn't matter how many strings you hit next. I would say don't hit the 6th string, but if you have never done this before, or if you've never really worked at it before, do it. It sounds pretty humble at the moment. I get it. This is the gateway to so much fancy stuff, especially country, folky, bluegrass kind of stuff. Even if those types of music are not your thing, this skill is hugely important. The ability to hit a certain note and kind of respond with a strum, that applies to any style of music. Okay, just to show off for a minute, that is a gateway to that kind of picking, That sound a little bit out of tune to you? A little bit. Just enough to make you kind of wince a little bit. Okay, so, but what I just did, that starts with, as modest as that seems, trust me, I squeeze the pick a little bit tighter, just a little bit, to make that note kind of pop. And then I relax my pick for a contrasting light strum. You can see where the name comes from, right? Boom, chick, boom, chick, boom, chick. Okay, moving on. We got about 10 minutes, folks. Let's do this. I'm waiting to hear back from my brother, because I said, man, let's get some dinner tonight. And he's supposed to choose I'm starving, man. He's supposed to choose. Well, he's on his way to me. He hasn't picked the type of food. I'm thinking Chinese or Mexican. I hope he's ready. I hope pizza. You guys got me thinking about pizza. Okay. Bear with me, folks. A to Z Me says circle of fifths is a perfect tool to find musical bridges for tunes. Yeah, that could be cool. Psychophilia says, hello, just wondering how available you are for in-person weekend lessons. Thank you for asking. I do. To answer your question, it would have to be on a Saturday, and it's possible here especially in the summertime, it's possible on a Saturday. We might have to, if you were interested in in-person lessons on a Saturday here in Connecticut, that we might not be able to do every Saturday of the whole summer. But it's possible to sneak you in. My full-time job, what occupies my working hours, is teaching in-person guitar lessons. That's how I've made my living for, like I said, 31 years. Online stuff, my YouTube videos, selling books online, that is a great bonus for extra income and for finding new challenge. I mean, I love writing the books, I love making YouTube videos, but in terms of the one thing that has to happen Monday through Saturday is I always say 40 students. God, it feels like more than 40 students. I'm sure there's some weeks where it's a little bit less, but let's say 40 for a nice round number. I teach about 40 students every week, mostly in person. I have a few online students. In general, I have a small waiting list right now. I tend to prioritize people who live in my community. I hate to say it to you guys, because I know you guys are spread out all over the world. I just figure, I have a brick and mortar storefront a studio essentially that I rent, and my first, I've been doing this since before the internet was even a thing. So I've always prioritized, real human beings who knock on my door, who come in my door, who live, my friends and neighbors, basically. And then the online stuff really only started because of the pandemic. And I did a few before the pandemic for sure. And now I'm happy to do online lessons. I like online lessons. I get to take my shoes off. And but an online lesson, just so you know, that got me through the pandemic, man. All my students essentially converted to online students. Whew, that saved my bacon. I didn't get a day off. I thought, a lockdown. I got a couple weeks off. And that did not materialize. I got no time off. I do take Sundays off. Anyways, so I do teach the in-person lessons. Summertime, I tend to have more gaps because kids or their families, people go away, kids go to camp, moms and dads go on vacations and stuff. So send me, if you are interested in lessons, one way to get a hold of me is contactsongbike@gmail.com. That's contact like a contact lens, song like a song, SONG, bike like a bicycle, contactsongbike, all one word, @gmail.com. I basically have a waiting list for students, especially for online students, but in-person students, I can try to sneak you in. I can't promise anything. By the way, waiting list, I wish I could tell you that makes me feel like I'm the king of the world because I have a waiting list. I feel it's a project, and I feel bad. I feel like, I'm grateful. It's a great problem to have, but it becomes a project that I have to manage. And I would hate to somehow have someone get in from the waiting list and someone said, but he told me I was there before that person, then becomes a whole thing. And that, fortunately, I don't think that's happened yet. But I just, so again, it's a good problem to have. I'm grateful for it. Okay, got a few minutes left here, folks. I'm looking for questions. Oh, Santa Fred, New York. Excellent question. He says, why did Mr. Genius here order a Fender Custom Shop instead of a Nash? I have two reasons. I thought Fender was so cool, man. I love Fender instruments. I love my current Telecaster just fine. I don't know. I love the history of Fender. I love Leo Fender's approach you know. So that's one reason. Second reason, my buddy has a Nash. I don't want to just copy him. He has a Nash Stratocaster copy. Nash is a fantastic company. For those of you who aren't familiar with Nash's, go order yourself a Nash guitar. Nash, I think everything they make is relict. They might have even kind of paved the way for the whole relict concept, where they make a new guitar look old. Not just look, but also feel so broken in, like jeans or a shirt that you've worn, a whole bunch of times. So Nash guitars, yeah, I would, at this point, I've laid awake at night and said, man, I should just cancel my, now that I've waited 20 months for this Fender Custom Shop, I should just cancel the order, get my deposit back, and order a Nash. They're great guitars, except my buddy has one, and I can't just copy him. I can't. My pride won't let me. I just can't. I can't. But there's a ton. Oh my God, there's so many beautiful instruments being made. Yeah, it's crossed my mind. Yeah, so you're making a great point. So okay, bear with me, folks. I'm reading. Harmonic and Guitar Progress says, I wonder what kind of experience with other custom shops, Yeah, who knows? I don't know, man. Charlie Bigo says, I'm an influencer. Yeah, I don't know. It's not my style to go there. I don't know. Charlie says, they don't treat Party Marty like this. I just don't want to be that guy, man. I don't, yeah. I know what you're saying. I don't, well, number one, I don't feel like that guy. I feel like a guitar teacher, man. I'm just a guitar teacher. I've taught for 31 years. I want to get a sweet guitar that was made just for me. The guitar is far more expensive than I can afford, but at least I didn't go with what they call the master built. The Fender Custom Shop offers what they call a master built, which is like 10 grand or something, where you're working with one specific builder, one person. And you can really get into high-end custom details. Sounds great. Maybe when I've taught for 60 years, I'll get one of those. I went with what they call the team built, which is exactly what it sounds like. Much less money, but for sure, it's it was not in my budget. But hey, man, I taught for 30 years. I don't know. I'm okay with my guitar. I'm okay with driving a car where the guitar next to me in the car is worth more than the car itself. I'm okay with that. It's pretty much the story of my life. Okay. Any more questions? What did it cost? I can't tell you what it cost. It cost too much. It's a fair. Thanks for asking. It's a fair question. It cost too much. The deposit was $1,000. That's the deposit. So if that gives you any, you can Google it. Just Google Fender Custom Shop team built guitars, and that'll give you a ballpark idea. I mentioned that I did have them relic the back of the neck, and that added on $200 to the price. So that gives you just more of an idea. Imagine if the whole thing was relic, right? I have no idea what that would cost, but isn't that hilarious? Paying real quick. Here's my take on relic instruments. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? When they take a perfectly good guitar and they beat it up and then they sell it to you. Since day one, I thought it was the stupidest thing ever, and I've come to temper my feelings a little bit. One of the reasons I've tempered my feelings is, man, the back of that neck felt good. It felt so good, and if they want to call that relicking, that's fine. If it's 200 extra bucks, yep, I'll pay it. Again, it's the most intimate connection with the guitar. I mean, yeah, you're hugging it. You got this intimacy, but if you think about it, you're not really hugging the guitar. You're out here playing the guitar. The intimacy is here, for lack of a better term. So I know it sounds a little weird. I know, but there's the intimacy, right? And so my take on relicking, I went from thinking how, if you want to look like it's used, just use it, play it, and then it'll look like it's used. I've begun to wrap my head around the expense of relicking by referring to it as art. And that helped me, artistically. You took a piece of wood and you did something with it that I'm trying to call art. And that helps me wrap my head around it a little bit. because I don't want to sound judgmental. So that's, although I do sometimes, but that's my take on it, relicking. If you call it art, that helps me think of it differently instead of being judgmental. So my first, realization was it does feel good. Second realization is that it's art. It's art. You all guitars, they're all art. Everything about them is art. I like that, what Fender calls the midnight wine color on that bass right there. Yeah. Third thing is I believe there is a grain of truth, more than grain of truth, that getting rid of this thick, glossy finish, whether it's polyurethane, that could have an effect on the sound for the better. It could. Is it a massive effect on the sound? No, I doubt it. But the wood can breathe a little bit. I don't know. I'm willing to accept that if this guitar didn't have such a thick, shiny coat of finish all over it, that it might sound a little bit better. I don't think that's out of the question. So, anyways, that's my take on relic guitars. Okay. Hey, we're gonna close up shop soon. Harmonica and guitar progress is making a point. I'm sorry, I don't know much about this. Doing artificially aging acoustic guitar. Yeah, acoustic guitar, profoundly different, because without a doubt, every scrap of wood is involved in making the sound. Whereas electric guitar, in my opinion, the verdict is out about how much the pieces of wood profoundly change the sound. People argue about that. I don't know. Acoustic guitar, I do know. Yeah. So if they're doing something to age the top, making it vibrate, doing whatever, I'm sorry, I don't know what torrefied means, but I can imagine. Yes, I wouldn't be surprised if that does change the sound, and if people are 100% willing to pay extra money to have that, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Yeah, to me, that's different. That's not an aesthetic thing, a visually aesthetic thing. That's I wouldn't be surprised if that does change the sound. Yeah, my Martin, I'd always heard that guitars change over time. The sound changes, and yeah, man, I got this in '91. But it was made in 1990. It was still new. I was working in a guitar shop, and they had two of these D16s. And as a college graduation present, I invested in this guitar. Yes, definitely. As this guitar turned 10 years old, in general, it started sounding good. I definitely noticed a difference. So. Guitars change. Acoustic guitars definitely change the more you play them as the wood dries out a little bit. Yeah. Okay. Santa Fred, New York is making a good point. He says, I have a local, he or she, I see the name Fred, so I'm going with he. I have a local shop, Santa Fred says, that put together a couple of tellies for me, way cheaper than Custom Shop or Nash. Oh yeah, I get it. Here's the thing. That's a great way to go. Support your local guitar maker. I love it. My whole thing in my little dreamy mind, I thought I played guitar for 30 years. I taught guitar for 30 years. And I wanted to get like a symbolic thing with a big name. That's all. And you pay more for Fender, just because it says Fender, you pay more than you would pay for a fantastic guitar, equal in quality, made by one of those, Novo, Novo, if I'm saying that right, Ivison. I think they're based in England. So cool. Motor Ave guitars, motor like a car motor, and then AVE like Avenue, Motor Ave guitars. There's so many awesome guitars that are less expensive. They're totally custom made, potentially less expensive than a Fender Custom Shop. I just wanted a big thing because I taught guitar for 30 years. I wanted something with a big name on there, and apparently I'm paying the price for that, literally and figuratively, with a torture. Hey, thanks for the super chat, Michael. I appreciate that. I'm paying the price for that. Good thing I don't have a big ego. Okay, I'm scrolling down here. Okay, it looks like we're getting to the end of the chats. Okay. Hey, everybody, now's a good time. How about no more questions? If you got any more, save them for next time. I think there's a whole bunch of books. I got a stack of books here that I did not show you, books that I use as a teaching tool and/or books that I learned a lot from myself. I will show you more next time. The two that we talked about this time, for those of you who missed the very beginning, Arlen Roth's book, which was the very first guitar book I ever bought as a 16-year-old. Very cool book. And this is a cool book, but really any book that has scales in the name, get yourself any scale book. All modes is a scale that doesn't begin on the first note of the scale. Instead of do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, imagine a scale that begins on do, re, a scale that begins on re, da, 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 and don't get hung up on modes. You got this. Anyways, any book with scales in the name, I highly recommend you guys get any scale book and start working on it. I happen to like this one. I probably have, I know I have multiple scale books, but when I was looking for books to show you, I saw this one, like, oh yeah, there's that. In my mind, this is the green one with a Paul Reed Smith on the cover. That's all. I didn't even remember the names of the authors. But Steve Hall and Ron Manus. In my mind, it's like, oh yeah, this is the green scale book with a PRS. So anyways, I will show you more books next time. Okay. Hey, maybe next time I will have a sweet shell pink Fender Telecaster to show you. I doubt it. But hey, for all I know, one of you, has a connection at Fender, and right now you're like, dude, what the hell? Guy's taught guitar for 30 years. Get him a guitar, man. You got his deposit, or someone has my deposit. I don't know. It's out there somewhere. Okay. On that note, Johnny Midnight, hello. Charlie Beagle says no Mel Bay books. I love Mel Bay in principle, because Mel Bay has produced so many books. When I grabbed a bunch of books to show you guys today, almost none of them were Mel Bay books. Sorry. I own a bunch of Mel Bay books. But if I dug through, I could find some books that I found value in, published by Mel Bay, but I don't know. Amongst the ones I grabbed, yeah, I don't know if any of them were Mel Bay. Doesn't mean that they don't publish good books. For all I know, they're gonna, I'll have a Mel Bay. I would love to have a Mel Bay. I have a Hal Leonard publication. I would love to have a Mel Bay publication. It would be an honor, Okay. Yeah, it's a color delay. You think that they had to get some red and white and mix it together to make shell pink. They had to remember the formula. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Okay, North County Fisher, good night. Okay, you guys, listen, I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. No more questions, but I appreciate all the questions. How about next time we dig a little more into the circle of fifths? How about I show you some more good guitar books? Of course, keep the questions coming. I'm happy to show you that pink guitar if I get it. I think that's it. I'm off for dinner, to be determined. All I know is I want a lot of it. Hey, I appreciate, look at that. 57 thumbs up. I appreciate that. 30 of you are still sticking around. That's awesome. It makes my day. All right, you guys, I will see you next Saturday, June 24th. Don't forget, this whole thing is being recorded. I think it gets uploaded as a video pretty much instantly. So head back here and watch anything you might have missed. Sooner or later, I will timestamp this video with all the relevant questions and tangents I went on. So if you're like, oh, when did he say that thing about whatever, you can find that spot very quickly and just go right to that question that you want to remember the answer to or whatever. One last thing, typically when I play something like that 3-note major scale, in the description of the video, when I do the time stamping, I include a quick little tab of that written out in tab, my way of saying thanks to you. Okay, everybody, I'm going to say good night. Good night, music fan. Well, music fan, I'll see you later. And that's going to do it. Okay, you guys, thank you as always. See you next Saturday. All right, bye, you guys.